edition of Channel 8 Update. I'm Cassandra DeLuise.
And I'm Jess Labella.
We come back from break with some good news to all the Flappy Bird fans out there. The creator, Dong Nguyen, replied to a Twitter question saying that the game would be back on the Apple App Store at some point, but not soon.
You know, I've never actually played Flappy Bird. That was one of the fads that I just didn't get involved in.
Neither have I, actually, but I know that one of our producers was pretty involved with it. I saw her play it, for quite a bit, and she talked about it when it ended, and so a lot of people are very upset about it.
Definitely. Some petitions were even formed asking the creator to bring it back, but apparently it ruined his life or something. It was really he was making a lot of money, but I guess money isn't everything.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I heard he was very, very distressed about the whole situation, got a lot of threats.
He did, that's right.
About the game. Wow, imagine that, getting threats from an app.
A game for your phone.
So how else was your break?
My break was really great. I went to New York City for a few days, traveled around, hung out with some friends. It was great. It went by really fast. I feel like that's the general consensus, is that it's gone by very fast.
Oh, I would agree. It has gone very fast for me, too. I actually just watched a lot of Lost.
Yeah.
So.
I've heard it's a very deep show. I never actually got into that, but it's definitely seemed like an interesting concept.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. You should check it out sometime.
Maybe I will. Fred Phelps, leader of the Westboro Baptist Church, died this past Wednesday of natural causes at age 84. Phelps, who started out as a civil rights lawyer, eventually lost his law license due to unethical behavior in court. Today, he and his controversial church are best known for protesting the funerals of American soldiers. They view these deaths as punishment for the growth of tolerance for gay, bisexual, and transgender people within America. Despite having a Baptist name, the group is not affiliated with any denomination of other churches. According to the church, they have protested over 53,000 events since the group's founding in 1955. Phelps' death has stirred up a lot of controversy, especially from Phelps' estranged son, Nathan, who issued a public statement regarding the death of his father, saying, "I will mourn his passing, not for the man he was, but for the man he could have been." He, along with other estranged members of his family, were not allowed to visit Phelps during his final hours. Some people have shown happiness over the loss of the leader of what some consider one of America's largest hate groups. Others, though, are resisting such happiness and are trying instead to feel empathy and forgiveness in the face of oppression and intolerance.
The Westboro Baptist Church doesn't seem to be slowing down since the death of its leader. Fred Phelps this past weekend, but while the group protested the pop star Lord's concert in Kansas, Missouri, there was another group there that was a counter-protest. A sign stating, "Sorry for your loss," was made and held up by the counter-protesters, who wanted to show that compassion was still felt towards the group that many have no sympathy towards. The Westboro Baptist Church was confused by the gesture and unsure of why counter-protest was there. Despite the normally negative tones that the group promotes, they do bring attention to events that normally would pass under the radar. With that being said, the counter-protesters believe that the group does have some positive effect on society through bringing communities together to protect mourning families from their negative influence.
It's no secret that Obamacare isn't perfect. Now that the much-debated healthcare plan is being implemented, some of the flaws are starting to have negative effects on people it was intended to help. Many Americans aren't able to go to whichever doctor or medical center they please under the new program. This makes it tricky to find local physicians who will both take on new patients and fall in an affordable price range. It is possible to widen the selection of doctors available, but they can cost extra money. Clearly, there are still a lot of kinks to work out before Obamacare can be called successful. The government's attempting to resolve these problems as swiftly as they can, but progress may take time.
A new genetic disorder was discovered that can help scientists understand why some children aren't able to shed tears. A recently published paper in the journal Genetics in Medicine determined that NGLY1 deficiency is an inherited genetic disorder, which is caused by mutations in the NGLY1 gene. This gene mutation contributes to delays in development, abnormal tear production, and liver disease. The key to how they identified this new disorder was discovering multiple patients with similar symptoms. The Human Genome Project, an internet blog, helped hiring patients and scientists. They brought scientists and patients together to find this discovery.
An update on the Canning case. The New Jersey teen who was suing her parents over tuition money now has dropped the lawsuit. Rachel Canning filed the paperwork to dismiss the lawsuit in family court, a decision that was made voluntarily. Last week, Canning moved back to her parents' home after her parents said that they would continue to pay for their daughter's education and expenses if she returned home to complete high school. Previously, Rachel Canning had claimed that she was kicked out of her parents' New Jersey home and was cut off. Judge Peter Bogart originally denied the request for her high school tuition and current living expenses earlier this month and set a date in April to continue the hearing. However, due to the charges being dropped, the hearing has been called off and the court date canceled.
Every book is an adventure waiting to come to life. Visit new worlds. Encounter new friends. And discover the power of reading. Go to read.gov to read A Princess of Mars, the first novel to feature John Carter. A new world awaits. Read.
Turn here. There. Excuse me. So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hi, and welcome back to Channel 8 Update. We continue to talk about the Malaysian airline. After 2 weeks of searching, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak made an announcement this morning stating that after getting more data from the British satellite company, Flight 370 went down in the southern Indian Ocean. This announcement left many families devastated, after many still held hope that after their loved ones survived, this discovery has left many key questions still unanswered, like what went wrong aboard the plane and where exactly was the location of the wreck. These questions are part of a list of complaints that have been made against the Malaysian government. With many people wanting answers, the government will have to work fast to figure out what exactly went wrong.
The Turkish military shot down a Syrian military jet on Sunday after warnings that it was entering Turkish airspace. Turkey, which shares a border of over 500 miles with Syria, sided with the rebel forces when the war began in October of 2011. The Syrian military force claims that the jet was over Syrian territory and calls the incident a blatant act of aggression. Turkish General Staff stated that the incident involved two jets that were warned multiple times that they were approaching Turkish airspace. One jet turned around, but the other continued into Turkey for 1.5 kilometers at a border outpost called Camli Hill before being fired upon by Turkish F-16s. The Syrian jet crashed on Syrian soil near an area called Kasab. The pilot was reportedly able to eject. Turkey and Syria have shared many minor skirmishes in the past few years, but it appears that neither side is interested in sustained conflict.
Former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton voiced fears last Tuesday on the aggression happening with Russia. Clinton went as far as to claim that the annexation of Crimea is illegal and a violation of international law. At an event hosted by the Board of Trade of Metropolitan Montreal, Clinton was quoted saying, "If he's allowed to get away with that, I think you'll see a lot of other countries either directly facing Russian aggression or suborned with their political systems, so that they are so intimidated that in effect they are transformed into vassals, not sovereign democracies, end quote. While nothing that she hopes another Cold War does not start, Clinton moves forward to say that Europe as a whole should start to become independent from Russia to limit the control that Putin has.
Hillary might get her wish, as Russia has received more punishments for their annexation of Crimea by being kicked out of G8, also known as the Group of Leading Industrialized Nations, earlier this morning. The decision was made by the other 7 members, the US, Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, and Italy. Also decided was the cancellation of the group summit that was supposed to be for June in Sochi, Russia. If Russia continues with their increased aggression towards Ukraine, Western powers are ready to impose more sanctions and penalties to anyone that is close to President Putin.
On to much bigger, widespread news. 3 scientists could have spent the rest of their careers debating over the moon, but instead have joined forces and found that the moon may not have as much water as they thought. Jeremy Boyce, Francis McCubbin, and James Greenwood have been studying a mineral called apatite, which has been found in most lunar rocks. What was once believed to be a great indicator for water has turned out to be trickier than thought. The apatite pairs up and effectively hides minerals like fluorine and chlorine, making it seem that there is more hydrogen in the rock. This has challenged many past theories about the moon, and even some research that these men have done. Dr. Boyce is quoted by the BBC about his past research on the subject. Clearly, we did the best that we could at the time, but that's the progress of science. There are, of course, corrections, end quote. Most research is being done on this topic, and it will be interesting to see what else is discovered. But this most recent discovery continues to prove that we believe to be true is never really set in stone. Now, we'll be back soon with more campus news.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these 2. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're gonna be hanging out a little bit more.
Hello and welcome back to Channel 8 Update. For this week's Campus Lowdown, we have all the up-and-coming events for this weekend, along with some important dates that you should keep in mind. The Ukrainian crisis, a roundtable discussion, is rescheduled for this week after the event was canceled due to that major snowstorm that we had before break. The new date is Wednesday, March 26th from 4 to 6 p.m. and is to be held in the Williams Center room S204 A, B, and C. The event is hosted by Dr. John Staples, Dr. Ivani Vassler-Frolik, Anton Agafonov, and Dr. Alex Kavids. Students and staff of the SUNY Fredonia campus are all encouraged to come to the event. The Korean International Student Society, better known as KISS, is hosting an Olympic-inspired event on Friday this week from 5 to 9 p.m. in the Dodds Hall Gymnasium. They'll be hosting a Korean Olympics, and their hopes are to bring international and American students together using games such as kickball, dodgeball, and team relays. The Korean Olympics is a free event and open to all students. The Pride Alliance, STEPS, and WSU are happy to present the 2014 Spring Drag Show. This semester's title is Flashback Friday. Anita Waistline is being featured and is sure to bring the house down. The show is this Friday, March 28th at 7 p.m. in the Multipurpose Room in the Williams Center. Tickets are on sale in the ticket office. $2 for students and $3 for general admission. The event normally sells out, so grab them while you can.
Continuing with your campus lowdown, the Walter Galore Main Stage series on the Department of Theater and Dance are presenting Rent this semester. The show is directed by Tom Laughlin and is described as a rock concert that breaks the fourth wall. The audience is included in a play itself for the up-close and personal experience. In 1996, the play debuted on Broadway, where it ran for 12 years. The plot is based on artists attempting to live in the Lower East Side of Manhattan while trying to build careers and deal with the looming issue of HIV and AIDS. The show runs on April 4th, 5th, 10th, 11th, and 12th at 7:30 p.m., and there is a matinee performance on April 6th at 2 p.m. Pick up your tickets online at the Fredonia website and at the SUNY Fredonia ticket office. The popular charity event, Relay for Life, is approaching fast. The event will be held on April 12th and will go from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. The catchy slogan for the event is Finish the Fight, and the event raises money for the American Cancer Society, which strives to find a cure for cancer. This event will be held in Steele Hall Fieldhouse. Registration is online and is $10 until March 28th. After the 28th, the registration fee goes up to $20. The event will actually be covered by WNYF TV and broadcast live. It'll be very exciting, so you should all tune in.
And now, on to the weather. For this week's weather, things are looking up after a rough patch on Tuesday. But first, tonight, there's a high of 24 and a low of 17 degrees. The chance of snow is 10%. Our hopes were high that the snow would stop as the calendar brought the first official day of spring, but Tuesday has a 70% chance for the white stuff, as the high of the day will be 34 with a low of 10 degrees. Wednesday doesn't have snow in the forecast, but the cold weather will continue with a high of 32 and a low of 18. Thursday is looking sunny and warm. The high will be 48 and the low 41. Who knows? Spring may be here after all. Friday, while having a 40% chance of rain showers, continues on the warm trend with a high of 47 and a low of 31.
Wow, finally, maybe some sort of spring happening. And speaking of that, it is that time of year again. Spring break, spring flowers, and spring cleaning. This year, Channel 8 Update is here to give you a few pointers on how to make the most of your seasonal cleaning spree. Cleaning special Maxwell Gillingham Ryan gives us some of his cleaning secrets. Cleaning the bathroom can be some of the toughest tasks. To clean your bathtub, spray some vodka on the tough-to-clean grime, and within 10 minutes, you can just wipe it away. Instead of harsh chemicals like bleach, you can use Kool-Aid to clean your toilet. The citric acid in the drink mix cleans the surface, and all you have to do is leave it overnight. This is good if you have pets who drink from the toilet, like my cat Seamus.
Your cat drinks from the toilet.
Yes, he does.
Really?
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this next tip is very helpful for me as well. If you do have pets, a good way to get pet hair off of your couches is with a latex glove. You could put on any dishwashing glove and rub your hand rapidly on the fabric, and the hair will stick to the glove with an electric charge. Then when it comes time to cleaning your windows and mirrors, replace all of your regular paper towels with newspaper. For the most effective window cleaning, try mixing 1/2 cup of ammonia, 1/2 cup of alcohol, and a couple of teaspoons of dish soap in a gallon of lukewarm water. It's known to be much more effective than Windex. Then while there's nothing like opening up those windows at springtime, sometimes you need a little something extra to make it smell more like spring. An all-natural beeswax candle or putting flowers on your table are great ways to add subtle freshness to your home. Gillingham Ryan also advises us to use lavender instead of citrus and sprinkle baking soda onto carpets before vacuuming. Spring cleaning is a good chance to clean out your air vents. After you have dusted your vents, put a coat of car wax in them to prevent dust buildup and to let even more fresh air through your home. Gillingham Ryan also says to run your dishwasher without a load to get rid of all that extra residue for cleaner dishes. And then if you really want to go crazy with your cleaning, here are some tips on how to clean your walls. Most people take a wet rag and rub their walls, but they are actually taking too many steps. A dry rag is all you need, and use a microfiber cloth to get rid of all those scrapes and scuffs. For similar marks on shoes or plumbing, just add a dab of toothpaste. For most students, spring is a time to break out the other half of your wardrobe that you've kept hidden in the back of your closet. And I'm sure we all have that one shirt that has a huge stain in the front that we can't bear to get rid of, but now you may not have to. Gillingham Ryan suggests soaking the shirt in 2 parts milk and 1 part vinegar overnight. Wash the shirt in the morning and the stain should be gone. Sounds very effective. Gonna have to try that one.
Smelly.
And instead of separating your colors, you can just use vinegar to stop the colors from running. And now that we have shared those cleaning secrets, you can do your spring cleaning with an added spring in your step.
Moving on to national news, the gay community's struggle for equal rights carries on in Michigan, where U.S. District Judge Bernard Friedman recently declared the state's ban on same-sex marriage unconstitutional. The judge was quoted saying this on Friday. Many Michigan residents have religious convictions whose principles govern the conduct of their daily lives and inform their own viewpoints about marriage. Nonetheless, these views cannot strip other citizens of the guarantees of equal protection under the law. End quote. This is not the end of the issue, however. It's likely the judge's decision will be appealed. Michigan Attorney General Bill Shute set an appeal to continue the state's ban on gay marriage that was approved in 2004. Significant progress has been made for same-sex marriage, and it's largely thanks to a family located near Detroit. April DeBauer and Jane Rouse are both nurses and have adopted several children together. 2 years ago, they began their legal battle to gain the right to marry. If DeBauer and Rouse win this fight, Michigan will join 17 other states and Washington, D.C. in allowing same-sex marriage.
On to international news, Egypt has a new statue of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, a restoration project for the pair that marked his grave site on the west side of the Nile concluded recently. The statues had been in pieces until recently, damaged not only by the weather, but by wind and also earthquakes. Each individual statue weighs about 250 tons and is around 38 feet tall. The first statue depicts the pharaoh sitting in his throne with his wife sitting at his feet. The second statue of the pharaoh standing and has been placed at the north entrance of the temple. Having these rare statues has increased the value of the history of the temple tremendously. While these statues, while in desperate need, they have been properly restored and are being preserved so that many generations can view them.
Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Channel 8 Update. I'm Jess Labella.
And I'm Cassandra DeLuise.
Have a good night, and see you next week.